Hey guys, it's Froggy Poker. I'm back with Poker Journal episode number 2. I just completed my first week, and I'm happy to report that I completed my first week with success. So when I started out, I set out to do for this week 5 minutes of studying and then 5 minutes of playing poker. And when I set those requirements, those are minimums. So if I want to spend more on that day, I can go for it. It's more so just to provide me a minimum amount of poker that I have to do every day. So if I'm having a lazy day, I could just do the bare minimum. If I'm feeling energetic, then I'll do more. But I want a set amount every single day. And so yeah, I did great. So to start out with studying and to review what I've done in terms of studying. So as I mentioned in the last episode, the course that I'm going through right now is From the Ground Up by on website Run It Once. Now, I don't know anything about video editing, so I don't know how to put that on the screen yet. I'll probably figure that out on later episodes as I go, so I can show you guys, but I don't know how to pull it up right now, given my setup. But the way that it's structured, the course is that there's 30 episodes, and they're each a lesson. And if I was going by my original 5 minutes a day for studying, I probably would have only got about 2 episodes done for this week, which would have been great. But I actually got 11 episodes done. I kind of just had more free time and also was kind of getting, sucked into the videos. And so I always wanted to watch a couple extra every day. And so I got about 11. And so to review the concepts so that I can remember them. So here are a couple things I learned. I don't really know much, so I have to start with the basics. So there's this concept called equity, and it just means your share of the pot. So if you have aces versus 2-2, your equity is about 80%, I think, and twos are 20. And so it's not that pot, you're only owed 80% of it. Yes, in that individual hand, someone will win it and someone won't, but over the long term, you're going to get 80% of it. So that's the way you want to think about equity. And then EV is just like an expected return on an action. So if you do something and you expect in general that you're going to get more than you get taken away from you, that's a positive EV decision. And if you expect you're going to get taken away from you more than what you take in, that's a losing EV decision. So if you expect that when you go all in with aces that you're going to win 80% of the time, that's a plus EV decision. Let's see what else. So there's this concept in pre-flop where you're the first person to open, which just means everybody folds to you. And what I learned, even though I'm terrible and I like doing this, limping is bad. I was sad to learn this. So it seems like what's bad about limping is there's this concept in the game called ranges. And when you're playing the game, you're not supposed to play your hand, you're supposed to play your range of hands against your opponents. It's like a range of hands that you could have in this situation. And because when you play ranges, actions that you take narrow down your range, when you limp, you're basically saying to everybody, I have a capped range, which means I don't have aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, ace, king, ace, queen. I don't have good premium hands. I instead have the hands in the middle. So by capping your range, you make your range weaker, and it allows someone else to exploit you by raising you. Because if they raise you, they have an uncapped range, and you have a capped range, which means that they have an advantage. I don't exactly understand the mathematics of how that advantage is pushed and like the card, like the hand-to-hand situations where I would abuse that, but I get the concept. And so that's why you don't want to limp, because you cap your range. This is also why you don't want to limp, not only because you cap your range, but you leave yourself vulnerable for someone else to come and re-raise and squeeze you. So if this is actually a different concept. If someone raises into the pot and you call them, the reason why calling also has to be considered and it's not just an easy decision, is someone behind you could re-raise, and what that does is a squeeze, so the two people around you both raised, and you're the person in the middle. You have the capped range because you called instead of raising, and both of them raised, so they have uncapped ranges, so you're weak, and so you kind of get pushed out of the hand. And so there's a lot of tactics like that, which I kind of understand intuitively, but I see now how that fits into the range concept. So that's limping and what you should do pre-flop. So in general, you want to raise first in so that you uncap your range. And then there's certain reasons why you would call or do certain things. In terms of big blind, it seems like you want to defend it, because if you always fold, then you're always just losing a big blind. Whereas if you defend, you might only lose like half a big blind, so a small blind. And so by going from like losing to like slightly less losing, that's why you call out of the big blind. So the big blind is actually a losing position, but you're just trying to make it the least losing, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was like a losing position in the game. And I guess the button's opposite side where in general you're winning, as long as you're a winning player. Small blind seems to always 3-bet or fold, given the fact that you're surrounded. So like you have the dealer button who has the best position, you're in the worst position, and then you normally are going to have the big blind come along, and it leaves you vulnerable to the big blind squeezing you. I don't know if I explained that properly, but I think basically you always want to play small blind 3-bet or fold due to the fact that you're always the worst position, and so you kind of want the hand to end pre-flop, or you at least want to go into it with a range advantage, I believe is the idea. Then there's flop play, and I learned about c-betting. So continuation betting is when you're in pre-flop, and you were the pre-flop raiser and someone called you. So if you were in the button and you raised and then big blind called you, you are the pre-flop aggressor, and if you were to bet on the flop, that's considered a c-bet. When you want to, there's two types of c-betting. One is like unselected, so that means that the board favors your range or doesn't favor them. Then you just want to bet your entire range because you still have the advantage. But if the board comes and favors them, so it's middle cards, because for the way it's explained, because your range is uncapped, you have all the aces, queens, kings, and so that would mean that those cards are good for you. Even if they might have it in that case, it helps. It's better for your range, and so you're playing your range, not the hand. And so there's two types of c-betting: that you just bet all of it, like all your range, or you bet a certain part of your range if the board favors them. That's called selective and unselective c-betting. And then there's re-raising when you get c-bet and you have to do certain things when it comes to your range. Admittedly, like I'm struggling to explain this because I don't fully get them. So I kind of get like the general idea of what it's saying, but I don't think I've used it in play yet. So I don't think I've synthesized what I've like learned in theory and actually put it into practice. But I'm hoping that as I go through this course, more things will kind of like stick. I'm only just trying to get like a bare minimum. I'm probably going to run through this course at least twice, just to really make sure that any concept I missed, I can re-go over and, hopefully it sticks this time. But yeah, I did 11 episodes. I feel like I get a lot more of the theory on a basic level, so I'm pretty happy, and I'd say that's great results, especially for the first week where I was really just, expecting to set up a habit and not really make meaningful progress. So the fact that I've gone through 11 episodes is great. And then on to the poker. So I have a couple hands to review. I'm going to see if I can video edit them in this next section. And then at the end, we'll talk about what I'm going to do for next week. And yeah. Oh, so it turns out I'm terrible and I don't understand how to edit videos yet. So I was trying to show some hands, but I couldn't get it to work with the video. I'll definitely figure it out at some later point in the series. But for now, really there was no important hand for this first week. Nothing that was, a tough decision, and what I've learned made me pick the right one. Most of it was me just punting. Like I would make a stupid bet and then I'd be too committed to the pot, and I would try to run it down, and then the guy would just have a pair and beat me, or I would get lucky and hit like trips and stack some guys. So I had a couple big hands, but none of them were notable in terms of skill. It was just kind of random luck and variance. So I'll definitely go through hand reviews later on in the series once I figure out how to use the editing software, and also once I start getting more interesting hands. But to sum up, for the amount of time that I played this last week, I played 1 hour and 1 minute, and this was 6 max tables, and I was playing one table at a time. I played 66 hands, and I've lost $1.95, which is about 98 big blinds. So 98 big blinds and 66 hands lost is pretty terrible. I think that's like 140 big blinds lost per 100, which is the standard metric. I don't know what that scales up to, but it's pretty terrible. It's a very, very small sample size, but I definitely play that way. I didn't play well. But this is really just the beginning of the journey, and the entire point of this week was really just to get used to it. And so I'd say that was the main goal, and I succeeded. I definitely feel like it's part of what I do now, and I'm just going to keep that going forward for this next week. So yeah, for the stats, nothing special, but I plan to ramp up the amount of play time up in the future, and I plan to play a little bit with more precision and using the things that I was taught, so that I'll actually have hands that are worth showing. But for now, I don't really have anything. But yeah, I'd say this last week went well, and I'm ready for the next week. And so I'm updating my studying and playing hours. So like timing, what I have to do every day. So from here on out for the second week going forward, I'm bumping up the study time to about 10 minutes. Essentially, about a video a day is how I'm seeing it, because minutes are kind of hard, some videos are longer, but 10 minutes a day for studying. And then for poker, I want to double the amount of playing time. So instead of 5 minutes a day, it's 10 minutes. Because I found about 5 minutes is when I start getting ramped up, and then I'd have to stop. So I plan to do 10 minutes now, and I think 10 minutes is good enough to get a little bit of poker in and be a little bit in the zone, and then get taken out of it. So yeah, I'm basically doubling both the study time and the playing time for this next week. I think that'll be something maintainable. Again, this next week is also just more about keeping the habit going. This first month is just going to be more slow, and I'm imagining that I'm going to ramp up in terms of time spent later on. And by that point, I should be in the groove of it that it'll be easier. So yeah, looking forward to this next week. Thank you guys for watching. This is Foggy Poker, signing out.